Okay, it's me again. I've got a couple of days off here, so I'm making videos. So you're not tired of me yet, but anyway, gonna do another. There's the American version. There's the British version. Uh, Rubber Soul. This is the ranking Beatle album songs in my order of preference. So yeah, we come to Rubber Soul, which is just in time for Santa Claus. It was released December 3rd of 1965. And the one I just did, Help, here, the album before, did a video ranking those songs. And thought of something while I was getting ready for this was that probably maybe the reason that a lot of people, when they rank their Beatle albums in order, tend to put Help and Beatles for Sale kind of toward the bottom of the list might be that even though those are great albums and they do show progression, there's also, with a few exceptions, I mean, obviously like Ticket to Ride and In Fairness Yesterday and Help, the title track, um, it does seem like maybe there's a little bit of a holding pattern, even though there's progression on those albums. It's a lot of what's on those albums. Of course, there's a lot of cover versions on both, where you had no cover versions on Hard Day's Night, but you know, a lot of those are just kind of slightly updated Beatlemania songs of the year before. So this, of course, is seen as a yet another major leap forward and progressive leap forward for the Beatles, and rightfully is hailed as one of the greatest albums ever made nowadays, and probably was back in 1965 too. So I did mention on the Help album, which I forgot to mention, was said that the It's Only Love and I've Just Seen a Face, which are on the Help album, always seem really strange being there because I grew up with the American versions of the albums, of course, and those are songs that belong on Rubber Soul, not on Help, so it's just odd to see them there. Uh, and with I've Just Seen a Face, with the British version, you don't get the false start that the American version has, so that always seems incredibly weird to me that the song just goes into the song and you don't get the false start and the pause and then go into the song, just like it's incredibly weird that you don't get James Bond theme with Help on the British album. But in retrospect, they're great songs. Both of those, I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love, are great songs. They just don't belong on Help. They belong on Rubber Soul, and it's a shame that they didn't hold on to those for Rubber Soul and put um, I'm Down and Yes It Is on the Help album, the two B-sides of Ticket to Ride and Help. Anyway, so Rubber Soul is another great album. It's hard to really rank these songs again. I need to do some other bands other than the Beatles where it has some songs that I love on the album and some songs that I'm not that crazy about, so I can sort of rag on something. But with Beatles albums, there's two or three Beatles songs that I just flat out don't like, and there's a few that I just okay with, but there's really nothing that I just they just don't have dog songs. Uh, so it's hard to say a whole lot about these songs. But 14 songs on the British version. I don't know how many are on the American version, probably less, but I'm not going to count them up right now. But going in preference, and this is another album where I like every song, really. I mean, some more than others, but again, there's nothing that I hate. So, number 14, What Goes On, which is one of the only songs. I mean, there's Flying, which is written by all four of them, but this was credited to John, Paul, and Ringo. Not sure what Ringo's input into it was lyrically or whatever, but um, sort of a countryish song in the vein of Act Naturally that Ringo did so well on the Help album, which kind of didn't really fit the mood of the Help album, but it's a great song. Here it's the same thing. It kind of fits the mood of Rubber Soul, but it kind of doesn't. It's a little bit of a sort of a slow and draggy song. It's good, but I don't know. It's if I pick my least favorite of the album, that'd have to be What Goes On. Number 13. This is gonna surprise some people and probably get some of those I don't know anything about music comments that I've gotten before. But If I Needed Someone, which admittedly is maybe George's best song to this point. It's a good song. I credit it as his growing artistically as a songwriter. Um, it's a very good song, but to me, it's always been one of those songs that I'm been told is good and I'm supposed to like more than I actually do like. Uh, again, I don't hate it, but it's just sort of it's okay. And I credit the accomplishment there on George's part and the artistry. There's some of his earlier songs I like better. Don't Bother Me, I think's a better song from one song that he never really liked, as far as I read. But if I needed someone, and that's up among the most favorite for a lot of people on this album. I'm not gonna say I don't like it or hate it, but I just sort of always, it's all right. Number 12 is the one that ends up on the bottom of the list for most people on this album, Run for Your Life, which the charges of misogyny and so forth, which is probably true. I don't think that's, you can say that was the times, but I don't know if you let him off the hook for that or not. But kind of like the Phil Spector song, He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss, the old girl group song that sort of. But Run for Your Life, with the poor choice of lyrics aside, I guess. Um, Musically, I like the song, and I like just the music, and I like the na 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 part that John sings toward the end there. Uh, Good vocal by John. Just as a piece of music, it's okay. And you don't want to take these things overly seriously. These were pop songs in 1965, and I don't think that John was running around beating women or whatever. Maybe he was. I don't know. But that comes in at number 12. Number 11, I'm Looking Through You. A song I really like is Ringo plays the Hammond organ. I love those little kind of uh, jarring, but the little organ solos throughout the song. It always reminds me of Snoopy dancing around in the Charlie Brown and Snoopy cartoons for some reason. But yeah, great song. Number 10 is Think for Yourself. Is the fuzz bass that Paul plays. I love that. It's great. And that's a George song. It's a good one. I probably, if I needed someone, is the better song, but I like Think for Yourself more, so I'm sticking with that. Number 9 is Michelle, another one that gets charges of Paul's granny music, or kind of sickly sweet song. I always liked it. I love the guitar in it. I like the where they're singing in French, even though that might be a little pompous, but I like it. It always surprised me that this wasn't released as a single, because obviously in 1965 it probably would have been a number one hit. Capitol Records sure like their money, so it always kind of surprised me that that didn't come out as a 45 back then. But um, I don't know, it's sweet and I like it, and I I just always liked it. So number 8 is The Word, good John song. Um, like that, and just a cool song. So it's number 8. Number 7 is Wait, and I'm trying to think of things to say about these songs, but these are basically tens, other than maybe the first three. Uh, Everything else on here is a 10. So was that the Wait, number 7? Number 6, You Won't See Me. Just great vocals, great singing, great song. Number 5 is Girl. Love the lyrics. Shows John, just leaping ahead as a lyricist. Love his sort of dry, brittle vocal on that. Kind of sarcastic and dry vocal there. Just a really cool song. Uh, so Girl, number 5. Number 4 is Nowhere Man. I love the harmonies that open that. Just kind of this shimmering choir boy singing throughout. Uh, just a neat song. And, I'm not used to that one being on Rubber Soul because it's not on the American version, but it's okay. Kind of fits in well enough here. So Nowhere Man. Number 3, and I've heard people don't like, some people don't really care for this song, or they rate it lower. I got Drive My Car. I love it. I think it's a great song. It's surprised that wasn't a 45. Personally, it absolutely positively has no business being on the Rubber Soul album. It should have been a standalone 45 because it doesn't fit the mood of this album in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. But it's a great song. Kind of a naughty song for 1965, but it's cool. I love it. It's just soulful and rocking, and the beep beep and beep beep. Yeah, how can you not love that? It's a great song. So it comes in at number three, but like I said, it doesn't belong on this album. It just sticks out like a sore thumb. Great as it is. I mean, I rate the song as a 10. It just doesn't belong here. Um, Number two, of course, is Norwegian Wood. And sitar and John lyrics and just a wonderful, beautiful song. And number one in my life, I love that classical Baroque piano in the middle. The lyrics are, perfect and great. The singing's great. The song's, a 10. And I've heard that at the very last concert in San Francisco in August of '66, that right as they're about to leave the stage, that I don't know, John maybe, whoever, started playing a few seconds of this on the piano, and they didn't actually perform the song. I don't know if that's true or not, or if that's just sort of legend, but it's kind of cool to think. Because that's one reason they stopped touring, was because by that time they're into Revolver and things like that, and songs that they couldn't perform on stage with the technology of the day. But anyway, so yeah, in my life is number one there, and very folksy album, very like a wintertime album for me. It's always been sort of walking around in the cold and the snow and coming in and wrapping yourself in a blanket in front of the fireplace with you know hang out with friends type album. Um, the album's a 10, obviously. So that's that. It's yeah, not much to say otherwise, other than what a great album. Uh,